Welcome back to the Kilted Texan, and today we're going to see how we got this Excursion looking as good as she does. Now, she is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but she was pretty bad. She's pretty nasty. I'm going to show you all the garbage that was in the paint, all the horrible stuff that was in that dude. She was a little nasty. So I'm going to show you what I did to at least make it look where you could tell that it was red. I mean, no kidding, this sucker's red. But I've had this O2 Excursion for a few years. She got 384,000 miles on it. She is a tow rig. She's fairly comfortable. She's a bit of a trip beast. She gets about 20 miles per gallon on the highway. She is a 7.3 powerstroke diesel. And I've nicknamed her Dirty Gertie, but now that she's clean, I may have to not call her Dirty Gertie anymore. Nah, she'll always be Dirty Gertie in my heart of hearts. So let's take a look at what she looked like before and what she looks like now and what I had to do to get there and the different items that I had to use to get her there. So we'll see you. So this is the clay bar system from Chemical Guys. Now this is the heavy soil clay bar. And you can see the paint is bad. I mean, it is ugly. It is like finding your mother-in-law at night in the middle of her beauty routine, kind of ugly. So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of tree sap and dirt and wax and oxidation, all kinds of garbage in there that we want to get out. And that's what this clay bar is supposed to do. So it's basically, it's going to pull that stuff out. It's going to lift it out of the paint and make that paint clean, so that maybe a color match wax or something might be able to help. First step you want to do is you want to just take a little chunk off the corner of this thing. You don't have to use a whole clay bar, and then you mold it into a shape that maybe 3 or 4 fingers might be able to use. That's when you go ahead and you spray down some of that clay bar lube, and I tell you right now, that is not the clay bar that's leaving that color. That is the crap coming out of that paint. That is all out of that paint. You can see here, this is the clean part, and then you can see the nasty part right across the way. So there is the difference right there. So we're going to get in here and try to get this entire hood cleaned up, and then maybe hit it with a color matched wax or something, just trying to fill in some of these scratches and make it nice again. And here it is with the entire hood done, and you can see it looks way better. Now that's just kind of the first run through, but you can see all that garbage is out of the paint, and she is ready to do something different to try to clean her up and make her nice. But look at how much different that hood looks without all that dark streak. So we're going to try this color match wax here, and this is actually a red wax, and we're going to try to put this on the paint and see if it fills in any of those scratches and makes the color kind of come back just a little bit, make it pop again. So this is attempt number 1. We're just using a little microfiber, little applicator pad, and kind of going through, just applying it to the paint, just to swirl it matter, just the same way that you'd normally do. And here we are pulling it off. And you can see, I mean, it looks nice. And if you'll notice, some of that oxidation looks like it's been filled in, like it's not there anymore. It's not perfect, but it does look better. And this is kind of one of those deals, is we are not going to make a perfect surface out of that deal. That's like putting lipstick on a pig. It just doesn't help. But what we are going to do is we're going to make it at least a little bit more presentable. And that is kind of the whole point of this, is to make it look at least a little bit better than it was before. And trust me, that is not a very far leap to make. And now here's the result after hand waxing, just manual with the hand, with the wax applicator, and with the microfiber towel, cleaning off all that stuff. This is the result. Now you can see right up there, up close to the center of the hood, that's where it's still really bad. So we're probably going to have to use some mechanical applications for this. Now I have an old Sears and Roebuck buffer, a little 9-inch buffer that we're going to go ahead and put to the test here and see if we can't clean this up a little bit. So behold our prep surface, and behold the old buffer. So let's take this old buffer with this red wax on it, and we're going to go ahead and apply it to this hood. So I went ahead and applied it to the hood. Now this is actually running the buffer over to take off most of the stuff, kind of the heavier amounts of wax that were left in place. So So this run is actually to pull the top layers off a little bit, and you can see there's still streaks left. So then we hit it with a wool pad to kind of take the rest of it off. And you see it just kind of working it back and forth to get the majority of the junk off of it. Now the wool pad we'll hit it with, and this takes the rest of it off. And this is where we actually see we can apply maybe just a little bit of pressure with it, but what we're really looking to do is let the wool pad do all the work and to pull the swirls out. And you'll see how kind of the extra little stuff actually ends up coming off of the paint. Now give me a second to get this cord adjusted on the back of my neck, so make sure I keep it off of the paint as I'm moving the buffer around. Then we'll go ahead and we'll crank it back up. And you can see, keep it moving. Don't stay in one place. You don't want to burn the paint with it. But it's going to be pulling all the rest of that extra wax off of there that, this is, kind of like the wiping phase of when you do the wax. This is taking the microfiber towel and cleaning the wax off. So that's, Mr. Miyagi's wax off version right here. Now here's the other side all waxed up and ready to get cleaned off. Now we'll use this buffer to kind of pull that top layer off again, and we'll just kind of keep running this back and forth, trying to get the majority of the wax off, and then we'll use that wool pad to get the last amount off, to get the amount of the swirls and everything else out of it. But again, keep it moving. You don't want to stay in one place. That's bad. Now, wool pad to the rescue once again. And you'll see how, there's wax at one point, then we run that wool pad over it, and it disappears. So that wool pad is really kind of the final stage there to kind of make things look nicer. And if you'll notice, the hood does look better. And again, it's not going to be perfect, but just trying to rescue this thing, maybe stave off a few more years before I got to get this thing reshot. Because I'm sure painting something the size of this Excursion will cost me the gross national product of some European nation. So we'll just try to keep her nice as we can. And here's the view from across the way. You'll see that there are still some streaks in it. And we'll hit it with this buffer pad a couple more times just to see if we can get anything better out of it. But compared to what she was when we first started, she's a looker now. I mean, at least from 10, 15 feet away, you can't really tell that she's still pretty nasty. Now we'll hit her with some of this Meguiar's Carnauba wax that I had before. And this is kind of the final step here. Now that we've used the color match, we'll put a little top coat of that MacLeod stuff on top and see if we can't just make her shine even just a little bit more. Because I'm still kind of a little disappointed in how hazy and nasty the paint is. So we'll just try this one deal. And this is in direct sunlight, so I mean, I was trying really, really hard to get, small sections waxed and then cleaned off really fast, because this is 101, maybe 102 degrees, direct dead sunlight, which is not really the way you're supposed to apply wax. But I figured, well, let me go ahead and go for broke. And we'll see if we can get it to clean up. And then here's that wool pad once again as the final touch. So as you can see, she looks way better than she started off. And I'm pretty happy about that. And if you're in the market for something like this, I got links down in the description. But essentially, you got old paint, really bad paint that's pretty trashed. This particular method might help you out. So other than that, if you're gonna crash into that like button, subscribe for more. We'll talk to you in the next one.